Hello, and welcome to another edition of No Lights Paranormal, where three nerdy paranormal investigators sit down and discuss spooky stories from the web. My name is Joe. I am the lead investigator.
My name is Teresa, and I am your researcher.
And I'm Alex, the Baba Yaga enthusiast and the equipment setter-upper.
Yeah, we're all three of those things and a bag of chips.
It's true. It's true.
First and foremost, I want to start off by saying apologies for missing last week.
Yeah.
We had some personal issues on my part and some issues with
severe sicknesses on my part.
Yeah, so we were life hit us with the Mack truck last week.
It was bad.
It was bad all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apologies for that, and we are back this week stronger than ever.
Yes.
We're not stronger, we're old. So we're brittle, but we got a good mentality with it.
We're at least
more enthusiastic than ever.
Right. So yes, thank you guys for bearing with us, and hopefully you guys listen to us this week. So Teresa, take it away with the new news.
Yeah. So let's see here. I have got just a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. So the first and foremost, obviously we are already all the way at the end of January. Today is the 20th recording day. January 20th, I should say. The 31st, Friday the 31st, doors open at 5 o'clock. From 6 to 10, a guided paranormal investigation in downtown Cleveland at Coco's Selfie Space at 530 Euclid Avenue in Cleveland. $35 per person, ages 14 and up. Looks like a beautiful, beautiful building. Nice long history. Definitely think this will be cool. It is a 4-hour-long paranormal investigation where there is a guided tour. You get an hour to just sort of free roam and investigate the spirits below downtown Cleveland. While on the tour, you'll learn about the paranormal investigation equipment and a little bit of history of the location. Definitely looks fun.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And Cleveland's got a lot of haunted stuff anyway. So.
Oh, so much. So we have another really fun event actually happening on February the 15th. It's a Saturday. Starts at 5:30 p.m. in Miamisburg, Ohio. It is another of the Edgar Allan Poe Broken Heart Society events.
Wait, what day is it on?
The 15th of February. It's a Saturday.
I might be able to go.
Ooh. Tickets are between $20 and $30. I think it kind of depends on what all you plan on doing there. Edgar Allan Poe is the OG of American Tales of Horror and the Macabre. P3, which is Paulo's Paranormal Project, will be your guide for the evening as you listen and partake in all things Edgar Allan Poe. Ticket price for the event includes Poe trivia, readings from an array of Poe stories and poems with a local Edgar Allan Poe expert, and make and take the Brokenhearted Self-Care Apothecary, a Brokenhearted Cookie Flight make and take station, and a 1-card tarot reading from a local tarot reader. For an additional charge, you can participate in Poeology, a flight of Edgar Allan Poe themed adult beverages for just $20. In addition, local medium Brownwin gifted? Interesting. I don't know if that was a mistype. Will be given private 15-minute readings for $30. Star City Booksellers will be in attendance with a pop-up Poetique of Edgar Allan Poe books and other merchandise. And they're saying all participants must be 21 years or older because, obviously, there's alcohol.
What?
Oh. On Saturday, February 22nd, there is going to be a fun little event, a paranormal investigation at a bookstore called Browse a While Books.
Oh, that's a nice thing.
It says here, and mind you, they're in Tip City, Ohio, which, I gotta be perfectly honest, I don't know where that's at.
What's the name of it?
Tip City, TIPP.
Just the tip. Okay.
Just the tip, that's right. At 118 East Main Street in Tip City, Ohio. Looks here like Eerie Excursions, Kayla Symington and Beth Welty Fontaine will be hosting. Come out to investigate the mysterious bookstore that is full of surprises in Tip City. Browse a While Books is an unsuspecting location with over 200,000 titles in store and online. This large bookstore offers 2 floors, to investigate and will be a limited event. They're only selling 10 tickets. Check in at 8 o'clock, check out at 1 in the morning. Of course, you can leave anytime you want, but, and the tour begins promptly at 8. So this should be super fun.
Super.
I'm assuming they're going to sell out very quickly, so I would hurry on that one. Then we have Haunted Bill Manor. This one actually looks really fun too. So the Tennessee Wraith Chasers will be there hosting. They're doing a full investigation of the haunted Ohio manor called the Bill, Bihl Manor, on February 28th. Let's see here. It doesn't give a whole heap of details, honestly, which is kind of weird.
Well, sometimes people do that to create more of a mystery.
Valid. And this one also looks like it's selling out ridiculously fast, so hurry. But yeah, Tennessee Wraith Chasers, they're pretty cool, so.
So hurry.
Yeah, get on that. Looks like they're doing a lot of other stuff this year too, though. I mean, they're going to be at the Smith County Courthouse. They're going to be investigation day or night with the Wraith Chasers at Ashmore Estate. They're going to be at the Palmer Hotel. They got all kinds of cool stuff going on this year.
Cool.
So that'll super be fun. Mm-hmm.
No, the name Wraith Chasers, it reminds me of something. And it's no knock against them. They could be great people. I don't know.
They seem like they are.
But it's the show Supernatural, where they make fun of the ghost hunters, the ghost facers. That's what it reminds me of.
I love it.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I have watched the show before.
Yeah, they seem like pretty good dudes.
They're interesting. I like a lot of their different perspectives and newer age techniques that they yeah.
All right. So now the listeners know.
Well, they also have a whole lot of really cool gear and gadgets. I believe one of their members is some sort of an engineer or electrical engineer or something like that.
Yeah.
He makes really cool shit.
They kind of use interesting stuff, which trips my fancy just a little bit.
Yeah,
getting the equipment setter upper.
Well, they seem like decent dudes.
We've well established on this podcast that in order to be a ghost hunter, you have to be some sort of engineer or a tech wizard of some sort.
Or know them for sure.
A mega geek in general, really. Yeah.
Yeah, to the hell.
But yeah. So,
with that being said,
yes, indeed. So tonight we decided to cover just some more random haunted locations. We don't have any sort of theme.
Yeah.
We're just talking about cool ghosty shit.
Well, we kind of, after doing the States, we kind of decided to go back to our bread and butter. It's just spooky stories.
So it's
like, all right, let's just dial down
one thing I definitely want to remind everybody
the really weird shit.
Yeah.
The spooky stories we're telling, these are all true. Everything that we're covering, this is actually true. This is not just shit where we were like, hey, Chat GPT, tell me a great ghost story. No.
I don't know how to use that, so it's definitely not going to be
These are real places, real historical events. And whether or not the ghost is real is kind of up to you to decide. Maybe you should go visit.
I tried it one time because I thought the ChatGPT kind of got most of its information from old internet articles and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, narrow this down for me. What's haunted here? And ChatGPT was like, ghosts aren't real. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, no, we don't use ChatGPT.
It's very scientific.
It told us that ghosts aren't real. So
I was like, oh, well, okay then.
I don't like you anymore.
Yeah. Me and you ain't friends no more, Chat.
I still use it for D&D, but
Well, yeah. It's a great story writer, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it's used for. So
exactly.
So yes, we kind of decided to just go back to the spooky stories. So Teresa, take it away.
Indeed. I have covered this week a really, really fun one that both of you are going to enjoy.
All right. Challenge accepted.
We shall see.
Nestled deep in the forested hills of southern Ohio, in the heart of the Hocking Hills State Park,
Been there.
stands a crumbling structure that has long been abandoned but never forgotten.
Haven't
the
been there.
Hocking Hills Prison.
Huh.
I'm
paying
also
attention.
known as the Old Hocking County Jail. This eerie, decaying building has witnessed decades of darkness, from the violent history of the prisoners who once inhabited it to the tragic events that unfolded within its walls. And according to those who have dared to visit, the spirits of those lost souls still roam the area, seeking justice for the wrongs done to them. The Old Hocking County Jail was built in 1880 in the small town of Logan, Ohio. It was designed to hold the area's most dangerous criminals, hardened men who had committed heinous acts of violence, theft, and even murder. Constructed from the heavy stone and iron. Why does it say the heavy? That's stupid. It was an imposing structure meant to keep the prisoners contained and the town safe. The building stood as a testament to the harshness of the time, a place where justice was meted out with little regard for mercy. Many of the inmates were poor, uneducated, and often driven to crime by circumstances beyond their control. But for the violent offenders, there was a place where they would be forgotten, buried in the dark recesses of the prison. The cells were cramped with little ventilation and food was scarce. The brutality of the conditions led to many deaths, both from disease and from violence. One of the most infamous incidents at the jail occurred in the early 1900s when the notorious criminal known as Frankie the Blade Stevens was incarcerated there.
Guns, obviously.
Stevens was a ruthless criminal who had terrorized the area with a string of robberies and violent acts. He was feared by both guards and fellow prisoners. His time at the Hocking Hills prison, however, would be cut short in a gruesome way. Legend has it that Frankie was found dead in his cell one morning, his throat slit from ear to ear. No one ever figured out who was responsible for the murder, and some believed it was a fellow inmate, while others whispered that the guards themselves had taken matters into their own hands. But what was clear was that Stevens' violent death sent shockwaves through the prison, and from that moment on, strange occurrences began to plague the building. The first reports of strange happenings at Old Hocking County Jail came just days after Frankie Stevens' death. Guards and inmates alike began experiencing unexplainable phenomena, objects moving on their own, the sound of chains rattling in the dead of night, and eerie whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. But it wasn't just the physical manifestations that were terrifying. People who stayed in the prison cell at night reported a deep sense of unease, as if they were being watched, or worse, trapped within the very walls they slept against. In the 1930s, the jail's most notorious prisoner, Silas Grayson, was incarcerated for the brutal murder of a local family. Grayson was a man whose cruelty was unmatched, and it was said that he took pleasure in tormenting both his victims and fellow inmates. During his time at the prison, guards reported hearing blood-curdling laughter coming from his cell, even when no one was in the cell. It was said that Silas had strange ability to make people feel as though they were losing their minds, and the fear he instilled in the other prisoners was palpable. But Silas's reign of terror at the prison was short-lived. One night, after a particularly violent outburst, he was found dead in his cell. His body was twisted and contorted in a very unnatural way. No one could explain it. Some speculated that the spirits of those he had killed had come to claim him, while others believed he had simply lost his mind. Whatever the cause, his death added to the growing dark energy in the prison. As more and more inmates met untimely ends within the prison's walls, the building began to take on a sinister reputation. It wasn't just for criminals who met violent deaths, it was the guards too. Over the years, several officers were found dead under mysterious circumstances, often in their own quarters or on the prison grounds. Some said it was the spirits of the deceased inmates seeking revenge, while others believed the very walls of the prison had become cursed, trapping the souls of the wicked inside. Right? By the late 1960s, the Hocking County Jail was no longer in use. The building had fallen into disrepair, its halls and cells left abandoned, its windows shattered, its doors rusted shut. The state of Ohio decided to close the facility, transferring any remaining prisoners to newer, more modern jails. But even after the jail was closed, the rumors of hauntings persisted. Local residents claimed to see lights flickering in the windows at night, and some swore that they heard sounds of chains dragging along the ground. Visitors who ventured to the area report feeling a palpable sense of dread, and as though they were being pulled into the darkness of the building itself. In the 1970s, a local paranormal investigation team, led by Dr. Martin Anderson, decided to explore the site. The team set up their equipment inside the prison, hoping to capture evidence of the ghostly phenomena that had been reported over the years. They began their investigation on a stormy night in late October. What they encountered that evening would remain burned into their memories forever. As the team moved through the dark, damp halls, they began to hear strange noises, the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoing through the building, even though no one else was present. The air grew heavy, and the temperature dropped dramatically, causing their breath to fog in front of them. But the most terrifying experience occurred when Dr. Anderson ventured into the old solitary confinement cells. As he stood alone in the center of the room, his flashlight flickered and then went out completely. He felt a cold hand brush against the back of his neck, and when he turned around, no one was there. The hairs on his arms stood up, and he immediately felt an overwhelming sense of dread. He could hear whispers, faint but distinct, and they seemed to be coming from all directions. As he reached for his equipment, a loud bang echoed through the hall, a sound so powerful it made the walls shake. The team rushed to Dr. Anderson's side, yes. But when they entered the room, he was nowhere to be found. The search for Dr. Anderson lasted for hours, but he was never found. Some say he was taken by the spirits of the prison who had died there, while others believe he was simply overwhelmed by the darkness of the prison himself. The team's investigation was abruptly called off, and the site was closed to the public. Mind you, absolute true story. To this day, the man has never been found.
Huh.
There is absolutely no evidence or trace of him at all.
Just Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, he's just gone.
Huh.
Today's Hocking Hill Prison, the old Hocking County Jail, remains a ghostly relic of Ohio's past. Though the building is now closed to the public, there are still those brave enough to go to the surrounding woods and venture towards its decaying structure. Many report the same feelings of unease, an overwhelming sense that someone is watching them from within the prison walls. Some claim to have seen figures moving in the windows, while others hear the faint voices or the sound of chains clinking in the distance. A few local ghost hunters who have explored the area have captured some pretty chilling evidence. Shadowy figures on their cameras, an eerie EVP recording of whispers, some that seem to call out their names. Many believe that the restless spirits of the prisoners, including Frankie Stevens, Silas Grayson, and countless others, still linger, forever trapped in the place built on violence, cruelty, and death. If you ever find yourself in Hocking Hills, be sure to keep your eyes open and your senses sharp. You might just feel the cold breath of a long-dead prisoner brush against your neck, or hear the faint rattling of chains in the distance. And if you venture too close to the old prison's gate after dark, you may hear whispers of those who died there, saying, "We're still here." But be warned, once you hear the whispers, you may find yourself unable to leave. The souls of Hocking Hills Prison may have unfinished business, and they may just pull you into their dark world forever.
Doubtful. Pulled my apple ale and lessons.
Right. But yeah, totally true story. So I looked up a little bit about Dr. Anderson.
So he was an actual real person, though. There was documentation that he actually
for real person, for real doctor. Actually, he really was a doctor, a medical human doctor. You have to specify. Some people get like doctorates and things. No,
yeah.
He was an actual physician. Yeah, and he had a perfectly normal life. He was married, he had kids, he had a mortgage, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And he's just fucking gone. He's just gone.
Had enough for one day. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I feel it, Dr. Anderson. I do.
Wherever you are, we understand.
Yeah. Interesting. It's weird because I didn't even know Hocking Hills had a prison.
I know.
So
Most
that was actually kind of cool.
Don't.
Alrighty, nice. I like it. I dig it.
Thank you.
Did you want to go next, Alex, or you want me to go?
I gotcha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I will go for it. So, as you know, I like to swing through our lovely listeners in random other countries, and that's what I did again.
I really thought you were going to say you like to move it.
I'd like to move it. Yeah. 1 foot in the hole, 1 foot getting deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're that old, you're welcome.
Right.
So, a few kilometers from a place called Ferrara, there is Kona. It is a place well known by the people of Ferrara and Santa Ana Hospital. But not only in Kona is there an abandoned villa, which all of the all of the inhabitants of the area know very well. It is called Villa Magnani. The house has been left to rot for years, and it has a crazy story. I will be forthright in saying that I looked as hard as I could. I cannot find history on the house. I cannot tell you when the house was built. All I found was an amazing story about the house.
There within the mystery lies.
So there within the mystery lies, and you'll understand why I was attracted to this house here momentarily when I start speaking.
Indubitably. You did forget one thing, though. Where's it located?
Italy.
Oh.
I was waiting.
Just outside Kona, Italy. On Provincial Road 22 in Emilia, there is Villa Magnani, the ruins of what was once a sumptuous mansion, consisting of a residential building and stables and a large garden. The house is located on the edge of a small forest, quite distant from other houses. The villa is in a state of complete abandonment for a long time now. And although several years ago a local entrepreneurship tried to buy it, they could not in any way find nor contact the owner or his heirs. So,
didn't have any.
So that said, again, Kona is a small village located in Providence de Ferreira. The Villa Magnani has brought here numerous tourists who are passionate about horror stories over the years. The mansion has been abandoned for a long time. The main part consists of residential structure and some stables. Let's see here. For the serenity of the premises, however, Villa Magnani, it rises in an area distant from other houses, and to the delight of horror fans, one step away from a dense forest. The main story of the house is it happened back in the 80s. The most famous story of the house, among those related to the famous villa, tells of the presence of an alleged witch inside the dwelling.
Nice.
Yep. They're both looking at me. They know this is where it came from. Right? According
Nice red flag.
my red flag, the one that I ignore all the time. It's cool. According to popular narratives, in fact, the residents of the village of Kona would be the object of a real curse hurled in ancient times by a hag. The curse would envelop the entire building, from which it seems it is possible to hear screams and harrowing laments. Myth has it that the witch decided to take revenge on a group of bored boys who, for fun, wanted to set foot in the villa.
Get off my lawn.
The ultimate get off my lawn.
So this is kind of what happened. So legend has it, the story goes that in the 80s, a group of teenagers, out of curiosity, decided to enter the abandoned villa. While exploring the ground floor, they heard some children screaming on the first floor.
Buh.
So they ran to the first floor, but when they got there were no trace of children.
Ow.
Scared, they decided to escape the house of horror. Once they got outside, they heard other screams, so they turned back to look at the house. At this time, they didn't see a child, however, and when they looked through one of the windows, they saw an old woman. Suddenly, the woman started screaming, telling them to go away and never return, like literally repeating this over and over and over again.
Damn.
Terrified, and this is where it gets kind of super interesting, terrified, the 4 teenagers got in the car and drove away. While speeding away from the villa, they had an accident in which 3 of them died.
Wow.
Holy crap.
The 4th somehow managed to get home and tell the whole story. After the story, the police decided to wall up the Villa Magnani's doors and windows to avoid letting people getting in. However, a week later, the window where the 4 teenagers saw the old woman was mysteriously unwalled. The giant piece of particle board that they had put over the windows was literally just blown off the window where the old woman was.
Jesus Christ.
Since then, some people who were brave enough to get in close to the creepy house claimed they have heard the voice of an old woman whispering threateningly, and almost everybody hears the screams of children.
What the frig happened there? That's insane.
I, honest to God, wish that I could tell you. I looked so hard. I've literally been looking for like almost 2 weeks straight to see if I could find like real dirt, like like maybe a name to this old woman who might be there, or who built the house,
Right.
or what year it was built. Nothing. Like this house just came from nowhere. It stands in the middle of nowhere next to a fucking forest. They hear screams of kids. I don't know.
The absolute best, the closest thing that I'm reading is that possibly sometime in the, what does this say here? They're saying that the very first tragedy of the place happened in 1937. Or, I'm sorry, not 1837.
I knew she was doing that.
Dude, they're literally talking about, like, the 1500s, the 1400s.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, looking at the building itself, it looks like, with the rest of the buildings that I kind of looked up in the Italy area, the architecture is on par for like somewhere in the mid 1400s building.
Okay.
Yeah.
That said, I literally could not find anything that would confirm that this house even exists.
Huh.
I mean, it does. There's pictures.
It's there.
It's
there's pictures, but you know how in the U.S., like when we look at places, it'll be like, oh, well, this address, it was built in this year, and this is the person that built. Nothing like that anywhere. So that's, to be honest with you, that's almost one of the reasons that I picked it. I'm like,
all right,
it's more impressive to me when I can't find rhyme or reason.
Which is hilarious, because normally when you do that and you can't find anything on it, you bypass it.
It's true.
I mean, this says it's believed to have origins dating back to the late 19th century, with the most prominent stories and legends surrounding it appearing in the 1880s, placing its construction likely around that period, somewhere from the late 1800s, but they really don't have any idea whatsoever. And there's no names at all of who owned it or who built it, or
literally just a house in the middle of
nothing in any records.
House, an amazing, huge house.
Nothing in any records. Nothing in any Wikipedia pages. Like, I think I was the most shocked at being like, it doesn't even have a year it was built.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's odd, because normally houses, granted,
especially when
humans
you
weren't the best at keeping records, but
especially when you get into like historic haunted buildings like that, at least there's a page that'll have like an estimate, it's probably built somewhere in like
best guestimate we can say
in the 1440s or something, you know?
Yeah, there's
nothing.
Huh.
And people died, and apparently the car accident happened not but like a few meters from the house. Like they were.
Did it say how they got into, like, did they run into another car? Did they run off the road?
It seemed to me like the one story that I found that got more in depth on that, they went off they lost control of the vehicle.
Okay. Well, that could happen if there's
like literally a few meters from the building. And so knowing that it's kind of surrounded by a dense forest, like they could have hit a tree at
something. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, you can lose control of a car real easy.
It does say here that at one point it was later given to the management of the Italian Red Cross.
Okay.
It says the owner seemed elusive, to say the least.
Yeah, apparently, like, they literally had a hard time even, like, tracking down an owner or an heir to this place.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's weird.
But, I mean, if you go back in the history books and you can't find what year it was built or who even built it, like, how do you even track down an heir?
Right, yeah, you can't.
You're like...
It's like a needle on a haystack.
That's the craziest thing, that there's just this big villa and they know nothing about it.
I mean, to be honest, like, how many of us, maybe I'm on my own on this, but you know my weird tavern dreams and owning hundreds of acres of forest. Like, how many times have we, like, driven down the highway and you're, like, in the middle of, like, a super dense forested area that just looks pristine, and you're like, it's right up. I wonder who even owns that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. We literally were going to buy a house that looked like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that shit all the time. I'm like, who even owns that? Like, I'm literally in the middle of, there's no exit here. I'm just looking over, like.
Kind of wondering, like, it's never said anybody has lived there.
No, it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't say information at all.
No, it has no history on the house at all.
They don't know who.
It is a large villa-style mansion with stables and a garden, and there's no history.
Nothing.
Like,
That could be kind of an illusion.
And you would think that a house of that style and size would be like a prominent name in the area.
Right.
Oh,
So
it's
like,
huge.
you know what I mean?
Somebody with money put this structure up.
So like that makes it even more shocking to me that like, nope. There was no important guy that lived here or anything or built it. It just,
Or maybe there was, and they just got lost in history. Who knows?
I can't honestly tell you.
well,
I don't know.
I'll tell you what, our one listener from Italy, if you
If you could-
have information and can shoot it to us, we'd super appreciate it.
yeah, if you could dig
Right.
into that, that would be super.
I will make an update on my, story if I've got more information, but to the best of my knowledge here in the US, like I can't find anything. And I even went through like Italian pages
Right.
And
used translators.
That's literally what I
and
just
nothing.
did.
Wow. That's telling right there.
That's actually literally what I
It's
just did. Was I looked
super
it up in
weird,
Italian
right?
and nothing.
Yeah. No, I went through like probably 7 or 8 pages that were like I had to translate Italian to English and
Wow.
nothing.
That's odd. Yeah, that no records whatsoever. Nothing. Just nothing. That makes me think it's almost maybe an illusion, but people are touching it. And,
They've literally gone in. The
Never.
police boarded it up.
right.
Mind you, the crazy old witch lady that lives there blew the board off the window, but
Oh, I just found really good pictures of the house.
it looks amazing.
and the land. It's old as shit.
Yeah, it looks like a nice house. You're right. It definitely does look like in the 1500s.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's like 14, 1500s Italy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Godfather type shit. Yeah.
But no, like I said, and that's, again, I don't know why. You're right. Usually that's a reason for me to just pass over things.
Right.
But like, I think I was so flabbergasted like a weekend when I literally just could not find a date, no name, nothing.
oh.
Oh.
I've looked up a lot of haunted places. And
Look
that's
on Google Maps.
They have a street view. Check this shit out.
I've looked up a lot of haunted places and
Yeah.
never have I run into that.
Well, yeah, like
Like-
normally there's, like you said, there's some sort of historical evidence of
Right.
who created it, who built it, what time it was done. And if not, best guess.
Right.
Yeah, that's super odd. Huh. Interesting. And we've lost Teresa. She's
Yeah.
Sorry.
She is. She's doing her researcher thing. So yeah, if she finds anything, we'll let you know, guys.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
no sweat. I got this.
So I'm taking it that was the end of your story.
Yeah, that was
All right.
it. Like I said, I wish it was a little bit longer, but
Right. I guess.
like I said, it caught me so off guard that, and usually the ones that I stay away from are the ones that are that short, but they're that short and I still have like dates and names.
Right. You got
know what I
something to go
mean?
with on it.
But I'm like, A, that's a really cool story of what happened to those people there. And B, it's blowing my mind that I can find no information on this whatsoever.
Right. Right. All right. Interesting. That's actually really cool.
All the structures in the area are very similar in style.
Well, yeah, it's Italy.
Well, I mean, same time period. And they have fenced yards and super manicured and big fences. And yeah, it seems to me like this area is not to be trifled with.
All right.
These folks have razor wire. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Like I said, we've lost Teresa.
Sorry, I'm gone.
All right, so I'll go into my story, and I chose this story. I know you guys have, you chose Italy, you chose Ohio. This story has nothing about anything missing. There's no people missing out of it. I originally was going to pass over this story because it just seemed outrageous, and I couldn't really find anything on it. But I found something that made me want to do it.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about an old institution in America that has been in every household, or every household has been to it. It's an American pastime. Everybody loves it. When you think America, you think of this. It's like I said, it's got a lot of tried and true traditions with it.
Corn.
I am, of course, talking about Hooters.
Hooters. Yeah.
So in Chicago, there's a haunted Hooters. Yes, I'll say that again. There's a haunted Hooters.
I am so excited right now.
Here we go.
Has occupied the building in 660 North Wells Street in River North since 1993. But legend has it, in the late 19th century, the site was a stop for grave robbers, resurrectionists, who dug up corpses from local cemeteries and had them sent out of state medical colleges. So they sent them out to, do that.
Right.
Some say ghosts associated with this gruesome past haunt the building standing today. So that, of course, when I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, the haunted Hooters, what the hell? This is kind of weird.
A little weird.
It's a haunted Hoot. Yeah, it's funny, but huh? But
to be clear, selling corpses to like
right.
institutions and colleges back then
Mm-hmm.
was like literally
money.
kind of a big money endeavor.
Oh, yeah. It was huge money. That's how poor became somewhat moderately rich. However, like I said, I was going to pass by it, and then I got bored one night at the house. I'm like, let me just look to see what's going on with it. And I found on Reddit a story from one of the workers who used to work there. And she recanted the story of one night and of her. She was a bartender. She was tending bar that night, and she stayed past close to clean up and get everything done.
Uh-huh.
The story was so hilarious that I that made me choose it. I was like, all right, I'm talking about Hooters. So
I'm here for it.
This is the story, and I'm going to leave her name out of it because nobody needs to know that. But she literally started the story by naming it Kitchen Nightmares. And I'm just going to recite it. It said, okay, ready for this story? So I was closing up the bar one night after a long shift, and I was carrying a rack of glasses into the kitchen. I slipped on the wet floor I had just mopped, fell to the floor, and let out an instructional, like, ah. Immediately after, hold on, English? Nope. Immediately after, as I'm sitting on the wet floor, I heard a low-pitched moan. It was so audible that I actually thought it was a real person. This was startling considering I was the only one left in the bar. I stood up completely frozen and yelled, hello? Again, immediately, I hear some low-pitched moan. Except this time, it was louder. Now I'm starting to freak out a little bit, but for whatever reason, I decided to walk closer. She did the white girl thing. That's how I could tell this is a white girl talking about this. Mm-hmm. I decided to walk closer to where I heard the sound coming from, and I yelled very loudly, hello. For the third time, I now hear a very loud, low-pitched moan. She said, that was it for me. I ran back into the kitchen, grabbed the kitchen knife. I could grab the closest, biggest kitchen knife I could find because that seemed logical at the time. Grabbed my purse and ran out of the door and never looked back. She said she has since quit that place. She said, but the next day, she said she returned to the place to promptly quit. And she said it was funny trying to explain to the chef the next day why he was missing a knife during the morning prep.
Just stole it, huh?
She said, but here's the creepiest part. She goes, that kind of got her into paranormal a little bit. And she said she came to find out that there was some sort of an accident that had occurred in the restaurant years before with the son of the owner, and word around the town was that he died right there in the bar by a knife.
What the shnikes?
Yeah. Again, this is a true story. I'm not going to say her name, but it was a true story. So that made me delve a little bit more into it.
Sure.
And there has been many people. You can have your glasses back because I can't see you guys.
No
there has been many people that have went to that bar and said that they heard moaning coming from the bar. And of course, it's Hooters. So everyone's
weird shit happens.
Meh. It's just Hooters pumping weird noises in to kind of get you in the ambiance of the place.
Those freshman guys.
Right?
Right.
And it could be but they've also heard like weird footsteps coming from around the place. And then said that one actually went from the bathroom to sit at the bar because they heard the footsteps go from the bathroom to the bar just to sit down. Yeah, there's a couple other stories coming from the place where they saw a full-bodied apparition. I didn't read that one specifically because there was no facts to it. They were just like, yeah, we saw a ghost.
Right.
And that was it. But yeah, they said they're still open. They invite people to come in. Of course, it's Hooters. It's a business. It's a restaurant. But they're thinking about starting up ghost tours and have people come in there and do DVPs and do the place and all that. So,
online, huh?
However, the girl did say she has not been back since and will not go back.
All right.
Because she said it sounded like the moan was coming towards her. And yeah, why she grabbed a knife, I don't know. But
I mean, if that's what makes you feel safe.
Yes,
I'm going to be honest with you. It's funny because most people that I know, when they have a ghostly encounter and they get freaked out and they don't know what they're like, a knife seems to be the go-to object.
It does.
Isn't that strange?
I can literally tell you a story that my grandma has told me many times about even my own dad, right?
Yeah.
One time she thought that his imagination got the better of him, but he saw like a hand come out of the drain in the bathtub.
Oh, that's ooh. irrational fear.
And
Yes.
when my grandma and my grandpa got home, my dad was sitting on the couch and he had a knife in one hand and the Bible in the other. And when they asked him what the hell he was doing, he said, well, if one doesn't save me, the other one will.
I mean, I feel that on a
Yeah, he's not wrong. But yeah, no, a knife does. I think it's just the quickest thing we can grab, and
Right.
it's going to inflict damage if you actually connect with it.
That's too funny. Though.
So yeah, if you're ever in the Chicago area, definitely hit the place up.
Also,
And it's a Hooters, so
Also, one thing I'll say is, like, despite whatever is at places, like, at the time, like, Hooters, you know, you think Hooters and you're like, that's not what I'm thinking when I think haunted place, blah, blah, blah. Back in the mid-90s, when Teresa and I first got into this, back when Angel Fire was still making websites and that's how you found haunted places, like, listen, what was it, like hauntedplaces.org or something back then?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Taco Bell in Worcester was haunted.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the Domino's in Wadsworth.
But
Yeah, true.
sometimes you got to think of beyond what building is there right now and realize what used to be there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of goes in, like, Teresa, you always talk about driving by a building and seeing it and be like, I could tell you the story of that place.
Absolutely.
How many of them has been a spooky building?
I mean, a few of them, yes, definitely.
Yes, but on the whole, on the average, how many? You probably see more like businesses and residents be like, it's not spooky, but I can tell you it's got a pass.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's, and granted, I'll preface the story by saying this. I have never actually been to a Hooters.
I think I've been in like one.
Yeah,
I've been there once.
I'm in Ohio. We don't really have Hooters here.
I think didn't we go for Trumbuck's birthday one time?
We did.
And that's the only time I've ever been in a Hooters.
Yeah, I'm not a boob guy, so.
Well, I was told we were going for the wings.
Well, that's what everybody says. Did you read the articles while you were there?
I did not.
I'm not a boob guy, but even at 18, I had higher standards than Hooters. Like, I'd rather go to a strip club than
Now,
a
those poor
Hooters.
chicks are just trying to work and they're being
Right.
objectified. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they make money, though.
Listen,
See the skit with Sydney Sweeney?
they work there on purpose, all right?
Oh,
I'm just
yeah.
saying.
Oh, yeah. You
Nobody's
know.
like, I fell into this.
I just
This is
decided.
something I woke up and decided to do today.
There's a very large roundabout at the end of this road.
Good God, she's still looking around at
I
Italy.
told you, we lost her.
I just can't. Well, it's because I'm now exploring Italy, one click at a time.
You know what? This has nothing to do with spooky stories at all, but I do that. Part of what she's doing is what I have to do at work at times.
Yeah.
And I will admit, I get lost in that sometimes, just clicking and going, like, oh, what's over here?
Yeah, right?
Thank you, Google Maps, for letting me waste
Hey, that looks neat.
right. Well, what the hell is that?
I mean, this is just a beautiful little farming
Actually-
community here, really. Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Big farm here with a bunch of hay and
Next week is the round table, isn't it?
Next week is the round table, and I had an idea for the round table, actually.
little
I will say, and it's only because I think at one point in time we had the idea for this round table, but then like something came up during the actual episode and it sidetracked us on the round table that we were going to do that week. I'm not going to say that does or does not happen,
you know.
but I think for as many times as we have warned people off of certain things, the round table that we discussed at one point but never actually got to have was the proper way of gifting the fae and things of that nature without getting yourself into trouble,
Yeah.
or how
I
to
am not
avoid it.
convinced that it's the greatest idea in the world
Oh,
To-
mom came out.
to discuss such things.
all right,
Under
but
the premise of keeping people safe.
Well,
you
yes.
have to look at it from this aspect, and
Well-
the aspect that I'm looking at it from is
Is that
what if somebody that lived in their house previously was doing this, and how do you solve that problem?
okay, cool, great. But what if that never happened and we're basically just reverse engineering a way for people to go mess with the Fae?
They're already kind of doing that.
Guess what? We'll just put a warning in the episode.
Yeah,
We'll just be like, hey,
Disclaimer.
just stop.
disclaimer, don't fucking do this.
Don't try
fuck with
this
the
at home.
Fae.
Don't
If
assist in
you,
childbirth.
if you
with this
don't know
scheme.
what you're doing,
Right?
don't do it.
But they're gonna think they know.
And
what-
even if you're like me and you do know what you're doing, probably don't do it anyway.
Right?
I don't know what's down this
No,
way, but I'm going.
I'd be down with that.
I just thought it was an interesting, good roundtable discussion anyway.
Oh, look, it's a hospital with an emergency room. Oh, it's a
Wife.
hi.
Squirrel.
Stop.
I don't want to.
But there's stuff. Actually, I was going to say, because her looking at Google Maps kind of got my imagination going. There's plenty of things that Google Maps and Google Earth has caught.
Oh, so many cool things.
What if we did a story on those? Some of the things we just, I mean, granted, it's just an avenue for us to look up stuff. But what if we...
You're going to have my wife busy for like 2 weeks, just like looking at Google Earth.
Is she leaving you alone? You're welcome.
All right. So next week on the round table, we talked
See.
about gifting shit to the Fae, and the following episode is going to be what spooky shit we found on Google Earth, and find the story of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of like,
I'll find some shit.
even though TikTok was banned and then came back, there's plenty of videos on there I've seen of it and all that. So, I mean, there's things on YouTube.
Or
that
maybe
surround that,
you're
so.
like me and you're just going to keep on skirting one click at a time through the back country of Italy and just find yourself something.
All right. Well, I've never done that for like an hour at a time on Street View, but I can tell you that for a while when we were doing the States, like I would literally Google Maps it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I do.
And then like pick a town that I thought had an interesting name and then just like kind of scroll over that
look
and
around.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like haunted this town in this state. And it's like, oh, here's some stuff. Check this out.
No, but
Dang it.
I've done that a couple times at work and got caught down the rabbit hole of just clicking and found some interesting things on there, especially on how you get those farm areas. You see some weird, like, what is that dude doing? I actually found one time mooning the
That's
camera.
awesome.
But the
I
people
wonder
that
if that
uploaded it
car's
didn't
still
catch
in that field.
it. Yeah, I actually caught it one time. A guy was actually mooning the Google vehicle,
Love
and they
it.
didn't catch it. So you just saw bare ass on there.
That doesn't surprise me very much. I've seen the Google car go around every once in a while.
Oh yeah, so have I.
It's a rarity, but
Actually, it came around work one day, and I was just like, oh, huh. But yeah, that was my story of haunted Hooters.
I dig it. I really do.
haunted Hooters, a villa that has no story other than the haunted story.
Right.
Hocking Hills Jail.
Yeah, which that was odd. I didn't even know they had one, so that was weird for me to hear.
I mean, to be fair, Hocking Hills is all hills and forest. So I guess if you didn't know what you were looking for, we'd never fucking see it.
Valid.
I had a stupid thought went through my head that I will not share on podcast. I'll share it after though. But yeah, that's the stories for this week, and roundtable is next week, which we will record. Yeah. So
Give them the socials. Stop looking at maps.
I was just about to. Didn't you hear me taking a breath? Jeez.
I thought you were going to say, I am.
So tell me
The social.
absolutely anything that you can find about that Italian place. If you happen to live over there, we would love to know. You can send it to us actually at nolightsparanormal@gmail.com. You can hit us up on No Lights Paranormal on Facebook, No Lights Para, P-A-R-A, on X. You can even hit us up on LinkedIn. Thank you. No Lights Paranormal on LinkedIn as well.
How did you forget that? We get most of our stuff from there.
It's because I'm crazy. I don't know.
They should admit it.
And then, of course, don't forget to check out the videos, EVPs, and things like that we have listed on our small but growing page on YouTube.
Yeah, the guy from RTS told me he watched that. He's like, I watched that for an hour one night. Hold on.
Well, that's just one video.
I got to share this. No, I got to share this story. He's the guy that took over my old position at work.
Oh, okay.
And he told me one night, he goes, no, he goes, I normally don't drink. He goes, but this position kind of made me want a cold drink at the end of the night. So he bought this thing. It's one of those like mixed drink makers
Okay.
that he can set up at work. He goes, I can set up at work. By the time I get home, my drink's ready.
Nice.
So he told me, he goes, no, he goes, he come into work and he's like, dude, he goes, you guys go to Madison? I was like, yeah. He goes, I'm in Geneva. I was like, okay. He goes, I watched that whole thing on Madison. He goes, I also got a little bit drunk and fell down the rabbit hole. He goes, but that was so cool. So yeah, thanks, Andrew.
We appreciate you, man. Seriously, we do. If you spotted anything, drunk or not, let us know.
Yeah.
That way I can take an even closer look and See what we got.
Right.
Again, also, I want to remind people that it is, don't get me wrong, it's a video format, but if you listen, I have caught an EVPs on there before. So,
Oh, yeah.
make sure you're listening.
Yeah, headphones.
Yeah, headphones are essential.
Because the audio is, I mean, the audio is really great quality, quite honestly, but like you really have to like isolate that sound in order to hear it right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And for those of you who haven't
your
heard
headphones.
EVP, it's difficult to discern if you're not paying attention.
But somehow it's also not. Somehow you can almost just tell that didn't belong.
Well, yeah, that goes with the mental process. Like you get used to a certain sound of no sound being there, and then when you hear something, it's like, wait, what the fuck?
No, you'll for sure know it, but if you're not listening or not listening for it, like you don't even know to listen. So
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, cameras also catch EVPs. It's not just audio recorders.
What?
But guys, thank you so much. We love you dearly.
Yes.
I'm so sorry we didn't post a video for you last week, but I promise we won't miss any more unless we absolutely have to. Thanks. Appreciate you. We love you.
Yes. Thanks, you guys.
We love you. We had a great time. Don't fuck with the Baba Yaga, or apparently the witch from Villa Magnani.
Yeah. You
terrible
take them
idea.
to Hooters.
Facts.